Hey, people, welcome back to the Hippie Speedball Podcast. It is Joe, your host with the most, Joe, and thanks for listening again. Before we get started, I want to actually give a shout out to one of my new podcast buddies, Amy, from the Confessions of Retail, All the Tea podcast. It's really fucking entertaining. Her and some lady friends like to get together and they drink a little bit, they smoke a little bit, and they kind of just, bullshit about retail and all these different stories and stuff. So anybody that's ever worked in that, really, really great show to listen to. So Amy, thanks for reaching out, and I appreciate you listening to the show. Thanks a lot. And before we get started, too, I want to give a little shout out to Happy Cannabis, providing these awesome coffee mugs again. Salute. And also, I went to Khalifa and picked up some Dutch Treat from Hairy Eyeballs and some Rude Boy from Headspace. And the reason I got the Headspace, actually, was because my very first band was named Headspace. That was actually my very first band name, this little shitty thrash punk band. So today on the Hippie Speedball Podcast, I actually have Lucia, who actually I met a long time ago. She's from Wild West Emporium. So Lucia, thanks a lot for coming through.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, yes. You've been supporting the show like from the very, very beginning.
Right.
And it's so crazy that the universe brought you right back here. And now you're in front of the tapestry and you're fucking here chilling in the kitchen.
Chatting, chilling. I know. It was, you were saying when I got here, it was you barely had audio. You didn't even have the video set up. You were telling me about it when you came in.
I mean, you were there from like we were just like in little primitive stages.
Yeah,
and, back when Trey was on the show and stuff. Shout out to Trey, if you're listening. And so you brought some goodies.
I did, just a little bit something for you to smoke, you and your wife or whatever can smoke later. From the Quantum, carry a lot of Quantum.
Love Quantum.
Yes, they're awesome. I brought some Sunset Strip. Number 3, it's a low THC but high terps. So
that's what I'm all about.
Very tasty.
Awesome.
And then
Thank
I
you
brought
so much.
Some good old hippie chicken. This is actually from Clean Karma Gardens. They've been with us from the get-go. These people have always been so nice.
Clean Karma Gardens? I love that.
Yeah, they're awesome. Family-owned, and this is one of our favorites, and they've always been good to us, so they've done us right. And then I just brought you just a little moon map.
What? Thank you so much.
And some stickers and some Quantum Watermelon Magic.
Oh, Watermelon Magic Flower and all the joint. You brought so much stuff.
daddy
Thank you so
stuff.
What? I
I
got
don't know.
Wild West
They're
swag
socks.
and
Those are rad. Michael loves them. I know Shelby wants a pair. He's
What?
pissed off right now.
I love socks. Thanks, Quantum. Yeah, that is fucking
I
great.
know.
Thank you so
Shelby's like,
much.
Can I get me some socks? I got socks for you,
I
buddy.
didn't know we
Hell
finally
yeah.
made the socks. That's pretty cool.
And it took the podcast to get you the socks finally, man. Thank you so much
You're
for bringing all the
welcome. You're
goodies. That is
welcome.
fucking awesome.
I know my husband's with Quantum Alchemy and Quantum, so he's like, make sure you bring him some of that. Tell him, haven't met him yet, but hello. So I was like, yeah, definitely.
Hell yeah, that is fucking awesome. Thank you so much. I'm gonna fucking be putting that all over the place. So tell me where you're from and tell me how you got started in cannabis.
Well, I'm from California. I used to be weary of saying that in Oregon, but from California. And mostly that we call it the desert. It's like Coachella Valley. I guess
Okay.
those of you that know Coachella know Coachella Valley.
Okay, nice.
And my husband, a good friend of ours, very dear friend, got us the opportunity to work with the boss that we're with now. First, my husband, and that was what started it all. Once he started, then it was moved into Oregon, and then eventually I was massaging at the time for years.
Okay.
And then I shortly followed him, and the gentleman that got us a job had been in cannabis. He'd been growing it. He had, for health reasons, realized that this is something that he wanted to do as well. And then my dear friend who hooked us up, introducing Michael, and we ended up here. Then it just kind of started from there. We got the first dispensary.
Hell yeah.
And that was in Northeast Sandy Boulevard, Wild West Emporium.
Nice.
And I actually didn't know much about bud tending or anything for that matter.
Okay, so you were just diving in, just
Yeah.
fucking like sink or swim, basically.
I smoked cannabis my whole life.
Yeah.
And even when I was massaging, I would make like tinctures or lotions and stuff. So my husband and I would make butters. We'd do oils, things like that, of course. But coming up to a state that it was legal or getting close to getting legal was crazy to us. Especially, I'm 43. So it was like, what?
I know.
I remember I went up to Washington and bought my first joint over the counter, and it was not sketchy, and I called my husband. I'm like, this is crazy. I was up there massaging some clients, and I'm like, this is nuts.
I know people that frame their receipts for the very first transaction that they actually ever did. Yeah.
So, I mean, that was the part that was very new to us. And basically, I, through my friend, then through my husband, I I was able to meet the owner that we have, and we just got to talking, and just my years of experience in retail in general, and what cannabis was to me and how I'd been utilizing it in massage. And with Michael being there, he offered the opportunity to go into that first dispensary that he just took over, and my husband and I went in there. We kept all the same people that worked there were there, and it was Anthony was one of them, and he just kind of he had started there from the medical, from when it was just medical, and it went right to
from
rec.
the OMP.
And so we went in there, and I started bud tending and finding out, I knew terps and hybrid and sativa and that, but honestly, like, it was more what you get is what you get back in those days. So
yeah. We didn't have like jars on the shelves to pick from. It was whatever Tony had that weekend.
Exactly, exactly. And just the incorporation of cannabis and retail. So it kind of brought my background of that, my knowledge of I did have, and I bud tended, and I started bud tending, and then brought in a little bit of my past management skills, utilizing that, with the owner, and then it just escalated, and then Metric hit. Metric finally got it's mandatory, you got to use it. So myself and my husband and the other manager kind of.
And for the people that don't know, what is Metric again?
It measures the amount of sales by weight. So it's a tracking measurement sales.
Like an inventory tracking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's everything is either packaged. There's batches and package IDs, and it's a measuring system to measure your weight
Okay.
of what you're selling.
Okay.
So
that way the OLCC can
with
regulate
the OLCC, it's a regulated way of doing it, so that implemented, and that was their way of knowing what's being sold, the gram amounts, because then you have to tax it and all that. So that came in, and we went from utilizing that to finding a POS system, and it kind of went from bud tending to doing this to just a whole nother side of it. And then the next thing you know, there was another store, and then we opened up our baby in Oregon City.
I know, and I've been going to that shop for a very, very long time. You guys are, one of the first ones open in the morning, which is really great.
Yeah.
So for early risers like us, it fucking is really, really beneficial, and I've gave you guys so many shout outs for that reason. Yeah. And so why did you pick Oregon City?
That was more or less probably on the owner.
Oh, okay.
It was an area. Well, you kind of see what certain areas are. There's a lot of dispensaries already, and what areas don't have one. And it was more based on, at the time, there is a farm as well that he had been living on, and that was close. And him himself looking for dispensaries noticed there's really nothing here. I'd like a dispensary in this area. I'm sure a lot of people do as well. So that was the next step for Oregon City.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So it was kind of cool. That was a whole nother, it's just a journey. It's been journey after journey. So we kind of started up in Oregon City, and there's a lot of licensing and planning and so much work into it.
Yeah. That's what a lot of people don't realize when they're trying to get into the industry, is how much capital it can take and how long it can take, and just it's a really large process. It's not as easy to saying, oh, I'm going to get a permit and start selling weed now. Like not. A lot of people think that that's what it is. There's and I've had to explain it to so many people. I'm like, bro, look into it. Like, I'll definitely encourage someone to do it, but be ready for the red tape you're about to hop through. I mean,
it's a lot.
I mean, no, fuck red tape. It's like in one of those spy movies where the lasers are all over and you have to slowly navigate all over all these different things.
There's a new one. Here's a new laser you didn't know about.
This one's about to turn on if we don't make it in time.
But we're going to turn this laser off now because that's okay. But you're going to go in this direction. I'm like, oh.
And that one you had to crawl through right here just turned off, and you could have just hopped over this one instead. And you're like, motherfucker.
It is. It's a world of lasers.
What a great analogy. Sorry.
It is,
that was awesome.
It really is.
So kind of yeah, right. So one of these things that I love to do on the show, and I do it with every single guest, is I like to get your first time you ever got high. So tell me about your first time you ever got stoned.
Man,
how old were you, and tell me about the time, and what'd you do when you were stoned?
I was just talking to Michael about this.
Awesome.
I think one of the first times I can remember that I really got stoned, because I can't pinpoint, honestly. I feel like I was maybe like 14, and we were walking home, and someone had a can, and we popped some holes in it.
Hell yeah.
That was maybe my first time, but I probably was stoned.
Okay.
I don't really know. Like, I can't pinpoint it, but it had to have been one of those times. But
okay.
One of the times, excuse me, a friend of mine, I won't name any names, but they had garage bands back in the day. You'd go listen to your friends jam in the garage, and there'd always be that dingy couch. And
oh yeah, for sure. I used to be the one playing in the garage band.
There you go.
So that was me.
And it was our buddies. Like, it was like friends we had known, we'd gone to school with, and maybe one of our friends was dating someone. So you're there. It was just, one of those. In this case, it was her older brother, and I smoked. I remember just I couldn't move off the couch at a certain point, and they were talking to me, and he was talking to me, and I was replying in some like different content, and he's like, "Oh, are you you need some water? You're okay." I'm okay. He's like, "You're stoned," and I remember my lips did this thing where it would stick, and I couldn't unstick them. You know.
Yeah, the beaver teeth going on.
8th grade, and Lana just started. Oh, I just said her name. Started laughing at me, and she was cracking up, and she was doing it. And then the older brother was cracking up at us because he's like, "You fucking little girls, you're just all stoned right now." So we went outside and drank some water, and whatever the rest of the night. But that was the first time I remember that it got me. So
hell yeah, that's awesome.
Yes.
I like that it was all tied up with music too.
It was.
That's
it
awesome.
Always was good.
What kind of bands were they playing in?
A little bit of grunge, a little bit of ska here and there, some punk, definitely some little punk bands.
Fuck yeah, that's what I played actually.
It's the desert. It's where Caius came out of.
Oh, I love Caius.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, my uncle got me turned on to Caius actually.
Nice.
They're like really an unknown band. Anybody that's never listened to them, check out Caius.
Yeah.
Like they're like it's so weird how Caius's sound sounds like it's from the desert. Like I don't know how they did it. Yeah. It's almost like the equivalent of how Dick Dale made his guitar sound like surfing. Like Caius was able to make their metal sound like the desert.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
I don't understand how
Queens
it was
of the
done.
Stone Age.
Oh yeah. I like
came
that.
From the desert too.
Oh, nice. I can kind of see that actually.
It was a small desert town in the beginning. There was not much.
Yeah.
Like I went to the first the first Coachella was a Pearl Jam concert. That's how it all first started.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Snuck it in the back of an extra cab.
God,
same Lana and her older brother.
I so grew up in the wrong fucking era. Like it sucks that I had to grow up in the decade that I did, because like, I mean, I was, a teenager from 2003 to 2009. So, cause that was when I was 13 to 19. So not really cool shit really was around then. I mean, there was good like stuff in like the underground punk scenes because there was a lot of good punk that came from George Bush. Like when George Bush was president, a lot of those punk bands were starting to come back around. Like Bad Religion was making more shit. Pennywise was making more shit. And like Dead Kennedys was coming back around. The Misfits were coming back around, and the Misfits actually is what got me into punk rock.
It started mixing with a little bit of ska more and some reggae.
Yeah.
That's when
Sublime really changed that. Sublime and No Doubt. Like a lot of people don't realize.
Even the Chili Peppers. Started doing that. That was that. So that wasn't bad. That was a good music time.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. And so,
so I definitely was smoking cannabis back then.
That's awesome.
I had friends who had, you knew someone who had to grow up in the mountains, and it was all. We used to call it kind.
Yeah, kind bud.
Yeah,
yeah,
I say that now, and sometimes budtenders will be like, "What?"
Yeah, I know the term kind bud. Yeah, actually, I learned that in my first bud tending job because my first dispensary I worked in, we had like a week-long training that we had to do, and and it was really intensive, and it was like a whole like classroom type setting, and then he used the term kind bud all the fucking time actually, and that's like where I got like this idea of doing like something similar for bud tenders, creating like some sort of training module where it's like a classroom. And it goes from 8 in the morning to 4:19 is when the class gets out.
Right at 4:19.
Right at 4:19, just enough time. And to make it in a place where you can smoke, so that way after class everybody gets to light up. Totally. Like have a little smoke sesh. Isn't that a great fucking idea?
It's a great idea. You should
Trademark from the Hippie Speedball podcast.
I was going to say you better have a disclaimer on that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, luckily I got a pretty good digital trail from this, so I've talked about it on the show before. So you got really good, lots of leadership experience, obviously, in the through the years and then in the industry. Yeah. So how would you advise someone to be a good leader in the cannabis industry?
Just continue to educate yourself. I mean, even me, myself, we all have these stories when we were smoking when we were young, and it was more induced like hanging out and that. And as I got older, once I really started to find out what cannabis was other than just like, hey, we're because that's what it certain age or like that. And then when I really started educating myself on it, I think one of my mom's bingo friends had cancer, and she was getting pot from her daughter. And I was like, my mom had asked me about it. And that's when I was like, oh, wait, okay, so it can help her. And my friend was telling me about it. So that, and when I started incorporating it with ailment rubs and things like that, is when it's still great to relax. You need it for that, or a good time. It's enjoyable. But it's also, there's a whole nother side to it.
You start looking at more of like a medicinal side.
A medicinal side. And that's when people started to be advocates and, you know, try to fight for it, to have it decriminalized, to have it not be a drug. And I think that's when you're getting into retail nowadays with cannabis. You should really understand that, because you need to understand that part of it to break the stigma that we've all been trying to continue to keep broken and function as a normal company. You know, it's retail, it's fun, it is cannabis, we're doing what we love, and it's very much more chill industry, very much more relaxed, but it's still a business. And there's fragments of it, but you don't want to lose the quality and what it stands for and why we want it and what it is, the medicinal side. So I think if you're getting into that, understand it more as well, as much as business as you can learn, licensing, anything like that, learn the laws, get, you know, compliant OLCC, but then stay educated on the cannabis itself and keep pushing for what it is, which is a medicinal medicine to help people. Don't just, that's my worry, is if it does go national and then the FDA or the Fed, you know, and it starts becoming this convoluted thing that they can put chemicals or whatever, and, you know, and just start selling it.
Exactly.
And then it just becomes this commodity of a
and then also that's gonna it's gonna re-trigger the black market side of things too. And then it's exactly what we're trying to get away from. And it's like, so it almost seems like there's a way to where, not to be all like kind of conspiracy brain, but there's a way it can almost be like a trap. Like, you know, to where it's almost, it's like, we'll make it legal, but we're going to fuck it up and you're not going to want to buy it from us, and you're still going to want to buy it from other people. Like, and so I really hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think there's just enough of us that are in the industry that are pioneers by now. I mean, I'm not saying I am, but like people that that's from the beginning, that there's enough of us coming through that will be able to understand that and stand up for it.
Yeah. And you're able to
keep that.
And exactly. Like, and then as you guys kind of transition off of cannabis into retirement, you guys will be able to pass the torch on to the people that are more like into learning about
keep
that.
Going with it.
Exactly. Which is kind of like one of the things I really want to do with this podcast, is to really like educate people on like the way it should be run, you know, so we can kind of avoid this shit before it happens, you know? So, I mean, it's like, if we can see that there's a roadblock up ahead, we know we can go down this street instead, you know? And I want to get people from like, with your experience from the industry, to like come on and let people know like, hey, like this is probably going to happen if we're not careful. Like if we're not careful and we don't really let people know. And I love that you want to pay homage to the medicinal side, because like you gotta show love to the medical marijuana programs. As much as I hate using the word marijuana, I love just replacing it with cannabis, but it's the medical marijuana program. It's the medical marijuana program. And like, I mean, a lot of people don't show it enough love, you know, like a lot of people don't really have that patient priority, and that's what I'm all about. And the first dispensary I ever worked in, that's what they were all about. Like, actually, if you were a medical patient, you actually went ahead of the line.
Oh,
like,
nice.
you went in first. Even if you had a whole lobby of rec patients and one medical person came in, they're like, you go. Like, and like
medicinal.
Exactly. And so I was like, that is so cool. I don't know if they still do that anymore, because they got bought by a different company. So like, I don't like
the store you were at.
Yeah, the store I was at. Yeah, they're still they still have the same name, but they got bought over. And so I don't know if they still do that anymore. I really hope they do.
I hope so.
But
I think carry a lot of medical.
Yeah,
all of our
for sure.
stores carries at least 4 different types of an edible of some kind.
Exactly. And also like it would encourage people to get their medical cards too, if more shops carried the medical stuff, because they would see that and be like, whoa, why can't I get that? Be like, that's for patients, bro. Like, you know, it's like, you know, and then also still show some love to the medical marijuana programs.
It's true.
So
you started it.
So you think that like that student mentality is probably one of the best ways to really be an efficient leader?
Exactly. It is. And like you said, you know, it's up to us, what we were saying. So, but you also need to learn the business side. You know, when Metro came along, there's a lot of training in it. You got to understand inventory and what's the best POS
and it's
system.
Always evolving too.
You know, what's the best POS system? What can you do to improve? How can you make it easier to run for you? You do need to, you know, if you can at all have your own accounting and stay compliant and banking, you know, the more you can have your hands in your business and understand it in all areas of it, the better it'll run. Yeah, exactly. Especially like, you know, that's why I like to know, not a lot of people, because I'm VP of retail, I do all 3 right now. They all know me. I make it a point to know them. I make it a point to know their family. Hey, how's the twins doing? Or how's your kid doing? As best I can. But a lot of them don't know that I started bud tending.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you need to know every part of it. Like, I started bud tending, then I learned metric, then we studied, we found POS systems. I learned how to do my CSV files. I learned how to do the ODR taxes and file them and go on ODR or go on there and file my own taxes and then drive to Salem and pay it cash back in the day with like a backpack all sketchy.
Yeah.
Fuck. Like, oh my God.
I know a lot of people don't realize that's how it was done.
Freaking 20 grand in a backpack. Nothing to see.
Like, and also a lot of people don't realize that's how it was done. It was cash transactions to go pay the taxes for it. And a lot of people don't realize is how much of that was just sitting in a vault until the OLCC was paid off.
Yeah.
Like the taxes didn't even go out for the first like almost 2 years that it was legal. And so, and it was like, that is crazy amounts of power.
17 is when they started.
Yeah.
Because that's when the metric system kicked in.
Yeah.
Measuring, but
And so like, it was weird because the OLCC basically was like, we'll front the money to get you guys all started, but not until we're paid back in full. Yeah. Like, you had the state tax system by the balls. Yeah. Like, I want to get somebody from the OLCC on the podcast just to be like, yo, how did you do that? Yeah. Like, that is crazy. Kudos to them, like, for sure. But that's an insane amount of power. And that's really interesting. But I'm really glad that we're able to finally, sell weed and get it like in a store. Like, it's amazing because I have a daughter who's only 7 years old, and she's going to grow up in a world where it's legal. Where she just has to be 21 to get it, like as liquor.
And she'll be educated.
Exactly.
She'll know about it.
Exactly. And she's
not going to look at it as a bad scary thing.
Exactly. She already is educated about it. Like, she doesn't like know like about it too much, but she knows that it's something that happens. She knows that if it's smoking in the room to stay out, and so she's educated that it is a thing, and she knows that when we go to curbside, that's where Daddy gets his medicine. Exactly. And that's exactly where Daddy gets his medicine. And I'm so thankful that we're able to come into that world. But like you said, we got to really be careful because otherwise it can get taken advantage of really fast.
It can. And it's just know as much of the business side as you can, but stay educated on the cannabis side, and so that you can offer the best to people, quality for decent pricing, or and then just knowing the other side of it. You have to that way you can have a full hold on the business, all of it.
Definitely. So when you first like started running a shop and you first started like taking on like that more leadership role, what was your management style when it came to running a dispensary?
I kind of took it off a few different managers that I had as a good influence and mentors, and more of like, I am an extension of who I hire. So I think it started very first in the beginning on when I did my interviews. Okay. And who I hired. Because if I saw an extension of it doesn't need to be like everyone's me, but if I can get along with them, or I kind of see an extension of what we represent for the company.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So kind of went with that, and then different types of just educated what they know, how much of cannabis they understand, and then I guess I'm more laid back. They call me like a mom.
I was gonna say, we do have one of your employees like on the show right now. So.
Like unbelievably understanding, very grounded, strict but not strict at the same time. So like not like your typical boss where they're like really hounding you. There to really focus it on your abilities and helps emphasize those abilities and helps grow you up while the company grows up as well. No one left behind. Yes.
Thank you.
Best boss I've ever had.
That was beautiful.
You're all right, man.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, it's just more laid back. I give as much as I expect in return.
Exactly. And I think that's really important when it becomes to being a leader and a manager, because I don't think you should ever ask your crew, whatever you're doing, you should never ask your crew to do anything that you don't already do yourself or you haven't done for a long time.
Exactly. I put in those hours.
Exactly.
Oh, I was a bud tender.
Or you're still putting in those hours.
I'm still putting more hours in.
Exactly. And so I think that's really important, because it's really hard to work for somebody whenever they're, not doing they're not doing the same amount of work that you are, or they're like, you don't really see them doing the same stuff. They're just kind of using their power for something, you know,
Right.
not good. Because when I was running a store, it wasn't in a dispensary, but I came from the booze industry.
Right.
And so when I was running a store, like, I mean, my management style was more like, I kind of looked at everybody as like, we're all like a giant machine, right?
Yes.
Like, think of like a steampunk machine, and it runs on gears, and every single person is one of those gears.
They are.
And if those gears aren't properly greased and lubricated, what this one's going to stop turning, and that's going to make this one stop turning, and that's going to make this one stop turning,
and this one's
then
flaring out,
and this one starts popping out, and this one exactly. And so next thing you know, your whole fucking machine just crumbles down to the ground. So like, I really just looked at my crew as every single person that was making this machine run. So
we play a part in it.
Exactly.
And if there was,
and so like whenever, so I was in it was a retail location, because it was actually the first distillery in the United States to have a retail location in a mall. Like, we had a tasting room in the mall.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, at Clackamas Town Center. And
I did not know that.
yeah, and so they were the first distillery to have that, and I was the manager for that location. And that was my first retail job and my first job in the booze industry. And so I just kind of, the way I kind of was like, when I actually had to have employees and do interviews and stuff like that, I was basically like, anything that they needed, I, you know, would just kind of accommodate to. Nice. So like, whenever the Christmas season came around and everybody was getting frustrated, I had a really good rotation for everybody.
Oh, nice.
So I had like 2 people at the register, 2 people at the tasting bar, 1 person greeting people at the door, and then 1 person restocking shelves.
Nice.
And then if somebody was getting tired at the register or getting annoyed with people, I would be like, yo, why don't you go ahead and just restock shelves for a while, then I'll put this person up here. Nice. Or like, some people really enjoyed being on the tasting bar, so I would just have them there all the time.
You were good at delegating.
Yeah, division of labor. It's all about division of labor, because I worked in the construction industry too.
Yeah, you
and
have to.
And that's exactly how it functions.
And it also allows people to learn in each area.
Yeah,
eventually.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And it allows everybody to kind of function well, so they're not stopping to like be like, hey, what do I do here? Right. I've never done this before. Yeah. Like, because I hate being that person. No. Like, anytime I'm ever starting a job, like, I need to like learn everything right away. Show me everything.
And it allows you as the manager to see when they're in those, you can see where someone excels. And
exactly.
You're like, hey, you're good at that.
Yeah.
You'd probably do really well in inventory.
Exactly.
Or, hey, you're really good at this.
Exactly.
You would be doing, you know, you're really good at training. I like the way you talk to customers. When we get new people, you might be the one they follow and shadow for a few days.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's funny you talk about the restaurant business or bartending, because I bartended in the restaurant business for years.
Oh, you did? Oh, no kidding? Oh, wow.
And a lot of the feel of when you say, how do you manage? It's that feel of that restaurant kind of like, you know, we know the customers. Yeah. We know the product. We get along. No bullshit, no gossiping. Let's just get through it. Let's work.
Exactly.
You do this, I
don't
do that.
Lie to them.
Do
don't fuck around.
Help here. Let's just pitch in. Side work, everything, you know, everyone kind of knows. Yeah. Even though so-and-so's a waiter, she knows how to bust a table. So-and-so can jump behind the bar and help you really quick.
Exactly.
Some dishes. So it's kind of like that mentality. And when I hired it, just that feel, I want that feel for a store.
Yeah, exactly. And you want the people that are willing to want to do that, you know?
And like you said, everyone plays a little part in it.
Yeah.
Functions.
Exactly. And then like, it just kind of makes this whole machine, you know, run.
It's a good machine.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. And it's I like that it's a weed machine now, you know?
It's very different. That's the hardest part is it's such a laid back industry. Yes. And it's cannabis and it's weed and it is laid back, and you have a lot of this variations of characters in different generations or genres or whatever.
Yeah.
And, there's business, there's laid back, but at the same time, you need to have rules.
Yeah.
And there's protocols and SOPs and business, but then it's also, we're just selling weed. So
exactly.
Just chill.
It's hard. It's hard for some people to make that distinction.
Yeah,
you know, it's hard for certain people to do that, because even because I've worked in 2 different dispensaries and I've worked as a brand ambassador for a major cannabis company, and so and I've seen all of those different kinds of people. Yeah. That's why I really loved that show, Disjointed. That was on Netflix. Did you ever see that with Kathy Bates?
Oh, I think I saw a few episodes.
Yeah, and it was about them running a dispensary. Yeah, yes. And so, but like, they really distinguish all the different kinds of characters that work at the dispensary really, really well.
They do.
Like, you have like, you know, the really, really super stoner grower guy that's like fucking like really like chill but really educated. And then you have like,
that's her son, right?
Well, like her son was more like the business one.
Oh yeah,
like because he had like his MBA, and so he was more of like the business oriented one. Right. She was like the old hippie. And then you had like the dude who was like the soldier in Iraq who fucking
security.
Yeah, he was a security guy, and he had PTSD and started using weed for that. Like, and it was all these different types of characters. Then you had like the really chill, like, you know, dope beanie type of girl.
Yeah.
You know, that's like the Instagram type of person.
Wasn't there a botanist in the back growing weed?
That was the guy. Yeah,
Oh,
like
okay,
the really.
okay.
Yeah, that was the one I was talking about. He was
Yeah.
like the super hippie, like
Yes,
grower guy that was
yes.
growing weed in the back.
Yes.
And that was such a great fucking show. And I was really sad it only lasted 2 seasons.
I think I only watched 1 or 2 episodes. I should go back and finish them.
Yeah, and it actually has like almost like they have like a studio audience with
Right.
it too, so it has like that kind of more like sitcom kind of feel, but it's
okay.
all about weed. So it's a really fun show. So I'm glad that we have like, you know, the same type of like management styles and stuff like that. That's really cool. You know,
it is. You know, there's a lot of hurdles to run, and you gotta go with it. And yeah, man, if I'm managing that way, for the most part, a lot of our employees seem happy and they do well and they grow within the company. That's another
for
thing.
sure,
We promote
definitely.
growth within the company, and so far that management style
and I've
hasn't let me
seen
down.
that, and
It's
I've seen
been
that
good.
for real in your guys' shop too, because I've seen a lot of dispensaries that are like, oh yeah, we promote from within, but it's all just like I don't see those people move up in the company.
Yeah, we
I just
do.
see these like random people pop in, all of a sudden they're running the shop
Right.
now, like in the shop that I've gone to forever, and those bud tenders stay bud tenders, and they end up just leaving the shop.
Right.
You know, but I've seen your guys's where it's like now, like, you know, Betsy, for instance, you know,
Yes.
like I remember when she was just one of my bud tenders in the freaking shop,
I
and
love
now
Betsy.
I love Betsy too. Shout out to Betsy.
I also love
Shout
Betsy.
out.
I know. I bet you. I hope so.
My girl.
Betsy's the shit.
She is. She really is. She's grown a lot. Yeah, she just started managing like that. She's at one of our Duke Street location.
Yeah.
We have Wild West Emporium on Southeast Duke, and she's there. But then Ben from the Sandy location is helping out at Malala.
Mm.
So, and then that one of the bud tender key holders there moved up.
Nice.
We've had people go into, you know, the wholesale processing in different areas.
Well,
It's
and,
cool. It is
and what you
really
did for
cool.
Shelby was really awesome too,
Yes.
because I mean, like how he kind of transitioned from like, you know, not just selling weed to being like, you know, the media guy,
Yeah.
you know,
The first
you-
company to recognize my talents and use them.
and
Thank
for
you.
real too. I mean, now you've been featured in High Times, like, you know, you're all over the place. So
Yes.
congratulations to you,
It's a
buddy.
great
Thank you, guys.
See, we still have that feel. You know, it's still up and growing. That's another thing. It's like you don't just get in there and you're right away the next 40 stores deep and you're a nectar. They
Yeah.
started somewhere. So it's like we have our 3 stores. We have been growing for the last 4 years. And every store, you know, everything we've implemented or done or learned, you know, we have accounting team, we have administration now, we have billing, you get banking, and it's just you know, a lot of these bud tenders, when we started, they grow within, and they're taking steps to where we stepped up, and now they're where we're at. It's just,
Yeah.
it's amazing to see. And, you know, we keep that family kind of feel to it, but at the same time, it's just growing, and we're growing with it. It's
Yeah.
just nuts to see just from the beginning.
Well, and I love it because I mean, the whole feel in your guys' shop is awesome.
Yeah, it
you
started
know?
off as just like a little our boss's dream or what it could be, and the fact that we've been part of allowing that dream to grow for him and for us at the same time too. It's just, and then seeing other people grow in it, it's amazing.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
amazing.
So I mean, as you've like, you know, been running the shops, you've seen lots of different, different companies, farms come and go
Oh,
and
yeah.
start and crash and stuff like that. So what would you say like is maybe like your 3 favorite farms that you would recommend to somebody?
Well, Quantum.
Quantum, definitely. I know. I do really love Quantum. Not even just because they listen to the show. I've been buying Quantum for some time from you
Yeah.
guys. You guys always sell their product, and it's really good.
You know, it's hard to say.
In no particular order, just maybe 3 that come to mind.
Well, I have to say for outdoor, Old Apple was always one that they're great people.
See, I love that you distinguish outdoor and indoor.
Yeah,
That is-
well, that's light dep mostly. Yeah, and then there's a few. There's 40. God, you're gonna have me name them. There's 45th Parallel. There's Meraki Gardens. There's Homegrown. There's a lot of, you know.
Dr. Jolly's, TJ's Organics.
Yeah,
There's
I
so
guess
many.
There's favorites. There's you know, I guess a lot of it is also just history based too.
For sure, definitely.
You know, and they still have the quality.
Well, and
that
also,
they hang
yeah,
on to it, and
yeah.
we try to carry it in the stores, but.
You've seen lots of different farms come and go for sure. So
Yeah.
transitioning off of farms, what's your favorite strain?
Oh,
Do you prefer indicas or sativas?
I prefer indicas.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say Northern Rec is an outdoor. It's one of my olds. I love
Okay.
smoking on some Northern Rec, even though it's very dense, very good. Anything cookies,
I love
Yeah,
some
pretty much.
cookies. Yeah.
Pug's Breath are the Quantum one I've been smoking on. Sativas, I would say like the pineapple or anything like that. I think
I was smoking on some Pineapple Express from Williams Wonder for some time.
It has to be a not so intense sativa.
Yeah.
I can do it. I'll go off on a weird world, or I'll get stuck on like
See,
painting or doing this, or I'll get all weird and my mind won't stop. So it can go good. It depends on the terpenes, I guess, that's in it.
Exactly. See, I find that I get a little bit more anxious with the like more like earthy terpenes. I don't know. I can't remember the name of the terpene that has kind of more of like that kind of more like skunky earthy kind of smell and taste to it. But the more like lemony ones, like a little bit are more like like better. But like so I've had like this like one
lemon kush or
like I love some lemon kush. That's a really good one. Or I got this really good Durban Poison one time that had just a fuckload of limonene in it, and it just it was perfect. It was like I can't remember what the farm was, but it was just like and then ever since then I've loved Durban Poison. Like but it's weird because that's like a straight sativa, you know, but I've had some like hybrid sativas that got me anxious as fuck, you know, because the cannabinoid system is so
touchy.
Like
it's your hormones.
It's so crazy like how like, you know, how much it can just kind of vary, you know, based on different stuff. You could have one person smoking like the same hybrid as another. One person gets tired, the other one gets anxious, or someone doesn't get stoned at all,
because it's with your endocrine system. The cannabis,
yeah, exactly.
So it's how your body's taking it.
It's like a lock and key sort of thing, you know, and sometimes those keys don't turn.
They do not.
Yeah, they'll fit, but they won't turn, you know, and it won't really unlock your shit, you know.
It's like, what
about you, Shelby?
That one.
What my favorite strain?
Yeah,
Girl Scout cookies. Anything Girl Scout cookies.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah,
nice.
100%. And it's funny because one of the parents of Girl Scout cookies is Durban Poison, and I cannot smoke Durban Poison.
Oh really?
Oh yeah, that one's too much for me.
Oh, okay.
I feel like I drink a pot of coffee.
I can't do
things
I
going
can't
on in
do
my mind.
diesels either.
I can't do diesels either.
Yeah, I can't do it.
There was a sour dub from Quantum that I didn't realize it was like diesel crossed with diesel, and I smoked that, and I literally had to get up off my couch, and I was like, I have to go run. Like, I have to do something now.
Hey, that's a good way to exercise.
Exactly. Hey, you got a workout in, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's what we'll do when we start playing hockey together. We'll
smoke some sour dub.
We'll smoke like some super heavy sativas. We'll go hit the ice.
I smoked some I don't know what it was.
Go saw some biscuits at them Tendy Pillows.
I got anxiety too. That's that story where I wanted to take a leave of absence from work. I was gonna call in. I got so like that sketchy. Like I can't go to work.
Oh shit!
Way back in the day, and I was like, I can't do this. I can't go. No. I was like, I'm gonna call in. I'm just gonna take a leave of absence. And so it's like 13 years ago. This was before we were even here. He's like, no. You're high, stupid. You smoked a little too much sativa. You're going to fucking take a month off work.
Oh, God. I've had those moments.
See, I had stopped smoking flower for years and just was in edibles. And so I started up again. And so I was very, very much lightweight. So that just kicked me on. But yeah, I just went into a weird little sativa too high. And he was cracking up. He's like, just call and say you have food poisoning. Totally did that.
I knew.
They're probably listening. Called him back. I'm like, it's all right. And he goes, yeah, I know it would be.
That's so fucking funny.
Just sit down, put on a movie, and drink some water. And I just kind of just sat on the couch all
That is so funny. There was
freaked out.
Do you ever see
so stupid.
the Family Guy Star Wars parody? Do you ever see that?
Yes.
There was this one wherever they like smoke a bunch of weed like in there, and it shows like there's a Quagmire was C-3PO and Cleveland was R2-D2.
Okay.
Like, and they were sitting there smoking, and then Quagmire's like, I'm having a little bit of a freak out right now. Can you just tell me that I can leave this room? He's like, what? I just need you to tell me that I can leave this room. He's like, you can leave this room. Okay, cool.
Right,
cool. Thanks, man. And apparently Seth MacFarlane was saying that was based off a story. This one time he got this weed from one of his like production guys, and it was like really, really fucking strong, and he got really, really baked in his hotel room, and he ended up like calling up his friend, and he's like, hey man, how you doing? It's like, I'm good. What's up? Nah, man, I just you good? You good? Yeah. You called me. Oh, okay. No, I'm all right, man. he just had this weird like freak out. He's like, how much did you smoke, man? Like he had this really weird moment.
He had to like call his friend to hear himself say also out loud, I'm all right. No, I'm all right.
I'm talking to you. I sound okay, right?
All right. I'm just gonna.
I know. I actually had a moment where weed was actually giving me really bad anxiety, like no matter what strain I smoked. So I had to take like almost like 2 years off, actually.
Yeah.
Like it was, I don't know, probably like a year and a half
That's
or around
the reason
that.
I did too. I don't know what was going on. I think, well, I actually had some, that's when my thyroid started acting up. It's weird. See, it all goes, that's why it's so good to know about cannabis.
Yeah.
So my thyroid started acting up and, your chemistry changes.
Mm-hmm.
So my endocrine system changed. So I think whatever it was back then, before it was legal, before, like, this is barely even the beginning of it getting medical.
Yeah.
There was no way of really knowing the terpenes in any kind of weed. There was no testing. So probably at that time with my hormones changes, what I'm thinking is that it affected me that way. There was some kind of terp in there that made me.
Okay.
And so now I know now, because now I know, like, if there's too much of, let's forget, it starts with an M. If there's too much of something, I can get into that level, like you said, where it's too much.
Yeah.
And I feel like I got to run down the street.
Yeah.
And that's what freaks me out. So now I know that, but, and that affected because of my thyroid. But now that I've been able to regulate my thyroid, I can handle and understand different indicas or which ones I need because of what's in them and how it affects it.
Educating yourself,
it's crazy.
Because in like the change, like weed is constantly changing, and I mean like we're like discovering more and more terpenes as time goes on, and like we're just kind of like, I remember just when I worked there was only like a few to learn about, and now that I don't even know how many there is on the terpene wheel. Like it just keeps fucking going up and up and up, and it's really cool that eventually we're gonna get so. I mean, like you just gave me a joint that has like a lot of freaking like terps in it. I don't know which ones it is. It more high end. Okay. So it's got caryophyllene.
Caryophyllene.
Yeah. Farnesene.
Farnesene. That's how I say it. I've never actually heard anyone say that one, so I'm not sure the correct way.
And myrcene,
myrcene,
and farnesene.
Myrcene is the one. If I get too much myrcene.
See, the only one that I freaking know about, like from my experience, actually, was the freaking caryophyllene. Is that how you pronounce it?
That's how I pronounce it. That's how I've heard it pronounced. But
that's
some people pronounce it a little differently. It's like,
and the myrcene, like the other two, I've never actually like. Yeah, the farnesene.
I've never heard of farnesene.
Never heard of
some people say
See.
caryophyllene.
Yeah,
but I say caryophyllene.
See, that just speaks volumes. It's how much weed industry that we've all had.
Yeah.
We're all like, "What is? How do you say this again?"
I'm on the floor sometimes. I learn from my bud tenders.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's the one thing we always tell them when I first got hired. That's what Anthony. He's like, pick us 2-3 strains a day. Look them up on Leafly. Find out about them if you don't know. That way, and always be honest with the customer. I don't really smoke that often. I'm just not a huge smoker, but this is what I know about this flower, and this flower.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so and so, So if anything, that's what was me in the beginning.
Yeah,
too,
definitely.
Because I was like, I hadn't smoked in a long time, and I got back into it, and I was a lightweight. I'd get like high school high.
I miss getting that stoned. Like I remember, I remember I took like 2 weeks off, and then my homegirl came over and we got drunk, and I got a joint for us, and then we smoked it, and I remember I felt so good. It was like I got so high. And I remember only needing to smoke like half of it with her. And I was like, I am solid. Now I'm smoking like multiple blunts a day.
I'm still kind of like that.
Oh, really?
I do a lot more edibles.
Okay. So. Yeah. See, I want to get more into kind of like edibles and use like more RSO because he'll take some RSO and come over and he doesn't even need to smoke at all.
Nope, I'm good.
Yeah.
Once I take some RSO, I'm good for the day.
Yeah,
I don't smoke as much during the day. My husband can. He's like you.
Well, staying home and doing the homeschooling with the kid, definitely built my tolerance up a lot for sure. Having to stay home all the time because I mean, Allie's got a really good job, so she was able to continue working during the coronavirus, and so I was just handling all the online school stuff because I was looking for work before the virus hit. I was already looking for a job,
of people.
And then so that's like a small pocket of people that people are kind of forgetting about. It's like a lot of people did lose jobs, but think of the people that couldn't find jobs
already.
They were already looking for work, and then all of a sudden nobody's working, and it was like, and it really kind of took a dinger, but luckily we were kind of already in that position and we were already kind of doing what we needed to do. So it was like, all right, fuck it, I'll just stay home with Juno and then just, do like Instacart, DoorDash and stuff like that,
do what you
on the side.
do.
Yeah, exactly. But now she's about to go back into school in person. Thank God.
Are they going back the next year?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think miraculously things are just going to be fine.
Yeah.
I think that's just the way it's going to be now that the election's over, now that everything's all like that, and all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, we got enough vaccines. All of a sudden we have this, and magically everything's going to be okay.
Be let's go back to it, and then let's wait until something else.
And it's really weird because I also heard that there was no flu cases this season.
Oh, there had to have been.
Like they were saying that like there was 0 reports of the flu. Like, and I'm like, how? Like, how did it magically just disappear? And it's been on the planet for how long? Like, and all of a sudden, this is the first time in history there's no reported flu cases.
No one went to the doctor thinking they had COVID, but it was the flu.
Yeah,
I find that hard to believe. I think
seems a little suspicious.
That seems weird.
I think
right?
anyone who thought who had the flu would instantly get tested because they would think they had COVID.
Exactly.
So that way you would know.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not keeping track of that.
Yeah.
Then.
Well, me and my daughter got really sick right when the first case broke out in Lake Oswego. And so because we're right here in Oregon City, and so like it's very easy that we could get in contact with people from Lake Oswego. It's across the fucking bridge.
I know.
And so it's like, and it was like right when that broke out, we got really sick. And I remember Juniper had just like a really, really high fever. And she got she had to get sent home from school, and she had a really bad, like, it was like she had a cough and like kind of a sore throat, but it wasn't like she had like trouble breathing or anything.
No.
But I got sick and I had a fever, and I had like the worst sore throat that I ever had in my entire life. Even like water, it felt like I was swallowing glass.
Was it like strep throat or something?
No, it wasn't strep. Like,
you think you probably had
that's
COVID.
what we think we did. We think we had COVID already because it was weird because then we weren't sick all year long.
Yeah,
like,
see?
and we weren't sick.
Well, you're not the first
all.
I've heard say that. Well, remember N1H1 or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
I swear Michael had it.
Oh, really?
I swear he did. Oh, it was like on the verge of one day. I'm like, I got to take you to the hospital.
Yeah.
And my sister-in-law's a nurse, and she's like, you should take him in. But he was like stubborn, and he made it through. But I'm pretty sure he had that too.
Mm-hmm.
But no one. How do you know?
Yeah, and so but
I
nothing
think we
was...
were pretty sick before too.
Yeah.
I wonder how many people. That's a possibility.
I think especially around here, because I remember there was a lot of people getting sick around here right around the time it was in Lake Oswego. So I think we all got exposed around the same time.
Definitely.
Because Washington and I think New York were the first places that it popped up. Like in like the United States. Washington was the first one. And then right after Washington, the first place in Oregon was Lake Oswego.
Yep.
That was the very first one.
It was the teacher or the janitor or someone from
and so like that's what I was thinking we possibly got it from. And but I remember nothing we were taking was working. Like we took medicine and nothing was working. And normally my immune system can knock out a cold in a couple days. Like I usually don't even take medicine at all. I usually just let it run its course and then boom, I'm usually fine. But this time it just wasn't doing it.
Took you down.
And I finally had to take some medicine. That still wasn't working. And then I had like heard like reports about like, like COVID and like what might actually be beneficial so you don't catch it. It was vitamins. And so I went and just got us, and we weren't taking vitamins at the time.
Right.
And so I just went to the store and bought us like, some multivitamins. 2 days later, we were fine. 2 days later.
Treated it like a flu. Did your wife get sick? No.
I don't think you did get sick. No. And so like we just treated it with vitamins, and then like boom, we were fine after that. And we haven't been sick since. I think I got like the sniffles one time, and Juniper got it one time.
That's the part that's like, since you haven't been sick since then.
But I think it's also because so many people have been quarantined and the mask thing.
That's
so
true.
I think that definitely did help like stop spreading colds.
And flus in general.
In general.
But
so
I
think
don't believe
that
not one got reported.
Yeah, see, and that was really, really hard for me to believe. Like that was, I don't know, I didn't really like. But anyway, we got a little off subject about that.
The whole
it's okay.
thing. Well, that was another thing in dispensaries too. That was nuts.
It was weird how like weed got both hit and not hit at the same time.
We were scared.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. There were moments where like, how are they going to treat us right now? Mm-hmm. Because they closed down bars.
Yeah. But not liquor stores.
Not liquor stores.
Yeah.
But we're medicinal.
Yeah, you are definitely essential.
Yeah,
100%.
so we're essential. So, I was curious, though. You never know how that's going to go.
Exactly.
It is the government.
There's a lot of pockets of the cannabis industry that got hit too. Like, like the isopropyl shortage, like that really like hit people hard. Gloves, N95s.
That did.
Like, so a lot of people don't realize in packaging facilities, they have to wear N95s and gloves.
Right.
So like, and because there's so much keef and pollen in those rooms, they have to wear masks.
Yeah.
Like I remember going into the Packaging Brothers facility one time, and it was just like crazy because they were just repackaging giant fucking bags of weed.
Yeah.
And like, it was all open.
I love going in there.
It was
like I'm
so
like picking
cool.
out. I love going into places. I'm like, I get to
It was
on a row of just product.
that
and
was
weed,
the
and
most
let me see
weed
that
I've
one.
ever been around in
Yeah.
my entire life. Like that was crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So when we you like have a lot of like music knowledge and stuff like that because we got a little tangent about music and talking about that. So I had a little fun question I wanted to ask you actually.
Okay.
So what's your favorite artist and album to smoke weed to?
Lately, it's well, lately I've been listening to Ciroc.
I love Ciroc.
I listen to her smoke. If I do smoke or if whatever, I'll clean the house. I'll do
Salute to you
whatever.
for
Yeah.
fucking shouting out Ciroc. Nobody
that
knows
girl.
about
She's
Ciroc.
awesome.
She is her. She's a
lyrical
fucking
genius.
Oh my God, she is so good. From
She
Rhyme
is a little
Sayers, I love
lyrical
that. I love that
gangsta.
whole
Love her.
fucking album. That whole label, Rhyme Sayers,
She's just
is so
beautiful
good.
from inside,
Yeah.
outside, head to toe. Just her lyrics are
Exactly.
She flows.
She is the type of person I want
flows.
my daughter to listen to.
Yes.
Like she
She
is
has a message. She's just-
exactly.
but it's
She
so
is
poetic.
so fucking poetic and powerful.
and she's beautiful.
Yeah,
and her
yeah.
style, I love her.
Mhm.
She's awesome.
That's awesome.
So that's who I've been lately, kind of my go-to. And then sometimes it just depends.
Okay.
Mood.
Nice.
I've been getting in my old Diggable Planets and playing them lately.
Nice.
Shit like
Okay.
that. I don't know.
Hell yeah.
My moments, but yeah, Ciroc for sure.
I've been listening to a lot of 90s hip hop lately.
Nice.
Like cuz I have a it's so funny because I listen to my two favorite genres of music are punk and hip hop. And I like that actually when you really look at them they really coincide
Very
together.
much.
Like
Oh,
they
yeah.
started from like pretty much the same spot in New York. You used to see, the punks at the Zulu Nation shows and you used to see
Crazy.
the hip hop people at the freaking punk shows.
So true.
Like and it was weird how they actually really paralleled each other because a lot of people don't know, like obviously you know this, but like for the people that don't know that are listening, punk was the counterculture of rock and roll and like the Journey, the Eagles, like like those bands at the time, like the really big arena rock bands,
Yeah.
Yes, and stuff like that. And then hip hop started as the counterculture to disco. Because they were tired of disco and they had the old funk albums and they would take these break beats and then
take the funk out of the
eventually
break- yeah.
and they would just take the little samples of the break beats and then they would for the people that don't know about funk albums or funk records, during like funk songs they have like breakdowns and that's wherever the vocals and the music drops except for the bass and the drums and they have like like the doom, 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 they have like little breakdowns. So DJs would take these little samples and then just play that and that's how break dancing started, was from these break beats. And so
Yeah.
the b-boys would be there and stuff like that. Little hip hop and punk lesson
that
for
was
people.
great down the line. I could
Yeah.
not have explained it better. That is awesome.
And so those were my favorite genres. So I have this thing on Amazon where it's like your soundtrack on Amazon Music, and all it pretty much plays is punk and hip hop.
Nice,
And it
nice.
knows that I prefer 90s hip hop. So it's been a lot of like Cypress Hill, Warren G, Snoop
Warren
Dogg,
G.
Daz Dillinger, Corrupt, a lot of like Dog Pound people. And then also a little bit of like Public Enemy and stuff like that. But I also really love Mobb Deep, and Biggie got me really into hip hop.
Biggie.
Yeah, I love Biggie, which was,
Biggie was
you know, being like in the West Coast in the 90s, if you were into Biggie, it was kind of a taboo thing because that East Coast West Coast shit was still going on.
It was.
Like
So
it was
funny.
there was a lot of
It was.
people like don't realize that DJs wouldn't even play certain East Coast artists on the West Coast.
No.
Like cuz like
They
they would
wouldn't.
get death threats if they
Yeah.
did. Like and that was a real fucking thing.
crazy.
But Biggie actually I preferred Biggie over Tupac. Like Tupac was the poet, Biggie was a better rapper in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I guess you could it was different, a little harder.
Yeah, exactly. Because also a lot of people don't realize he improvised almost everything.
Yeah.
Like because he
Tupac
would
was
just
a little harder too.
he was
more-
lyrical.
He was
like he was a
lyrical.
fucking poet. He
Yeah.
was the guy that would sit there with his notebook and write his
Eminem.
lyrics. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Eminem would literally make like rhyming journals. He would
Yeah.
think of one word and then try to think of like 30 ways to rhyme with that word.
Right.
Like even just combining two words together to make it rhyme with that.
It's so true.
You
I mean, and Biggie did too, but he had more of like a lighter.
It was a flow.
It was a
Like he
flow.
had that more Big
Chill,
Daddy Kane
groove,
kind of
yeah.
feel, you know,
Yeah.
like where it was like a little bit more. He was really lyrical, but it was all also freestyle because Biggie was one of those rappers that he would just listen to the beat like over and over again and then just go in the studio and just drop his fucking verse.
Yeah.
Like, and there's not many people that do that. I know Biggie, Jay-Z does that. And Lil Wayne does that.
Lil Wayne.
Yeah, Lil Wayne will do like 4 bars at a time. And then he'll just sit there and listen to the beat and then freestyle 4 bars. And then he'll freestyle another 4 to 8 bars
And then
until
drop
he
it.
eventually has all the verse put together. Like, which is kind of a really cool way to do it too. Especially since he'll listen to himself like, you know, like off
Doing
that
it.
one, and then figure out how to transition it naturally from there.
Huh.
You know, and then just record songs that way. That's why most of his shit's so fucking good.
That's why it sounds like it just flows so.
Exactly, because it's just flowing completely
It's
natural.
just pieces put together, like
Yeah.
a cartoon.
It's almost like how
Yeah.
Pink Floyd compiled the Comfortably Numb solo.
Yes.
Like they actually had David Gilmour go and play like 5 or 6 different guitar solos. And they
then
took
he-
pieces of each solo, and then that's actually what you're
Who
hearing.
was telling me? Someone else just told me that a few months ago.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Actually, yeah, my rolling tray is the wall. That's
I
actually
noticed
what
that when you were rolling. I'm like, it's rolling on a Floyd record.
Yeah, it was NWA for a while, and I kind of
Yeah.
transitioned it. I retired different
funny.
albums and used them.
Nice.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad we got to talk music and weed. Thank you
Yeah,
for
we
fucking
did.
coming
We
in.
went off tangent a couple times,
I love
but
it though. That's
it's
kind of what
all
we
right.
do
Thank you
anyway.
for having me.
Yes, thanks for coming through, and thanks everybody for listening to the Hippie Speedball podcast. It is Joe, your host with the most, Joe, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.